There is one commandment that many follow by tradition, but almost no one truly understands in depth: the Sabbath. On the seventh day of creation, after forming the heavens, the earth, the seas, and every living being, God rested. And not only did he rest, he blessed and sanctified this day. But why? What is so sacred about a day of rest? Was it merely symbolic? Or could it be that the Sabbath is in fact a cosmic portal, a moment of alignment between the divine and the human that can still be accessed today? Because if we look with symbolic eyes, the Sabbath is not just a day of the week. It is a state of consciousness, a point of balance between action and presence, between doing and being. And the fact that God rested after everything was created, not before, reveals a hidden truth. Rest is not the absence of action. It is fullness. It is the moment when creation is completed, not through movement, but through silence. It is when the world, for an instant, stops its agitation and resonates with the source. In Jewish tradition, the Sabbath, Shabbat, is called the princess, the bride, the presence of the Shekinah. It is not a day of inactivity, but of subtle transformation. When Jews light the candles at sunset on Friday, they are not merely marking time, they are activating a frequency. It's as if in that moment the veil between worlds thins and ordinary time becomes sacred time. The rules of Shabbat, not lighting fire, not working, not using electricity, are not just prohibitions. They are protections. They are ways to disconnect the mind from the outer world so the soul can reconnect with the eternal. But why the seventh day? Why not the first, third, or fifth? The number 7 appears repeatedly across spiritual traditions. 7 days of creation, 7 seals in Revelation, 7 chakras, 7 musical notes, 7 colors of the rainbow. It is a number of completion, of closing a cycle. And on the seventh day, something unique happens. Time stops running forward and begins to rotate, as if, instead of moving linearly, the universe enters a state of eternal presence. And in that state, the human being can access what the Kabbalists call Binah, higher wisdom, the field where future, past, and present coexist. Visualize yourself now at twilight on Friday. You light a candle, turn off the lights, silence your phone. Take a deep breath, and suddenly you feel it. The air changes. Time slows down. You are doing nothing, yet something inside you reorganizes. It's as if, for a moment, you've stepped out of ordinary time and entered a subtler field. And in this field, you don't need to seek answers, they arise. Because the Sabbath is not a day for action, it is a day to receive, to listen, to remember who you are beyond the body, beyond thought, beyond identity. This makes us reflect. Could it be that the true purpose of the Sabbath is not religious, but energetic? Because in modern times we live in constant overload. The brain is always active, the body always moving, the mind always projecting into the future or reliving the past. In this rhythm we lose contact with the present, with the soul, with the source. The Sabbath, then, is not a commandment, it's a remedy, an antidote to the illusion that we must do more to be whole. In Kabbalah, it is said that on the Sabbath, the soul receives a neshama yetera, an extra portion of soul. This is not metaphor, it is a subtle reality. It's as if, on this day, the being's energy field expands, allowing access to higher levels of consciousness. And for this reason, many mystical accounts speak of visions, insights, healings, and revelations that happen spontaneously during Shabbat, not through effort, but through grace. Because when you stop, the universe begins to speak. But does the Sabbath need to be on Saturday? Could true rest not be about the day, but about the state? Because at its core, what God did on the seventh day was not sleep. He sanctified. He consecrated the moment as sacred. And perhaps the greatest secret is not about keeping a day of the week, but learning to create the Sabbath within you, at any moment, amid chaos, in the middle of work, in the middle of pain. Because the true Sabbath is not the absence of movement, it is full presence. It is when you stop fighting, stop controlling, stop demanding, and simply are. Now ask yourself, what if the Sabbath is not a day of the week, but a portal that opens every time you enter silence? Every time you take a deep breath and say, "I am here." Because in the deepest teachings, God's rest was not an event of the past. It is an eternal invitation, a call to pause in the midst of creation, look around and say, "This is good," just as He did. Like a flame that never dies, even in the darkness of the unconscious, this moment remains. In every pause, in every silence, in every conscious breath. And every time you choose to stop, not from exhaustion, but from presence, you are unknowingly celebrating the true Sabbath, the Sabbath of the soul. The seeker's journey is like an ancient scroll slowly unrolling, revealing symbols that feel familiar, like memories from other lives. Each revelation is a candle lit in the temple of the mind, illuminating corners we never knew existed. And at the end of this path, we don't find answers, we find moments, moments when time stops, moments when silence speaks, moments when, for an instant, everything is complete. Thank you for your curiosity and courage to walk these untrodden paths, for listening not just with your ears, but with your soul, for allowing yourself to be touched by ancient truths, forgotten memories, rhythms the modern world has tried to erase. Are you ready to take the next step? Remember, every ending is just the beginning of a new journey of awareness. But let us go deeper, because the Sabbath is not just a Jewish concept. It appears in ancient civilizations as a cosmic power point. In Babylon, the seventh day was called Shabbatu, not as rest, but as the day of the impediment of evil. It was a day when certain activities were forbidden, not by religion but by energetic protection. It was believed that on this day, the subtle field was more sensitive, and negative actions could have amplified consequences. Just as on a day of high electrical tension, you avoid touching exposed wires. On the seventh day, actions that caused imbalance were avoided. In Hinduism, the concept is not a day but a state. Kaivalya, divine isolation, absolute freedom. It is the moment when the yogi withdraws from the world to enter samadhi, a state of unified consciousness. And in this state, he is not resting, he is in full inner activity, but at such a high frequency that it appears as stillness. This is the same paradox of the Sabbath, apparent in action, but deep transformation. In Sufism, they speak of the Sabbath of the heart, a state where the heart stops beating in the rhythm of desire and begins pulsing in the rhythm of pure love. Rumi said, "The world turns, but the center is silent." And that center is the true Sabbath. Not a day, but a place within you where everything is at peace, even when the world around you spins in chaos. And among indigenous peoples, many traditions have a day of non-doing, a day when no hunting, building, or war is allowed. It is a day of listening, of dreams, of connection with the spirits of nature. And shamans say that on this day, plants speak more clearly, dreams are more revealing, and portals open. Because when humanity stops, the earth can express itself. Visualize yourself now in an ancient forest at dusk. You sit in silence, you do nothing, you just breathe. And then you notice the sounds of the forest change. The leaves seem to whisper, the light turns golden. And for an instant you feel it. Everything is connected. You're not separate from the trees, the wind, the river. You're part of the same fabric. And in that moment, you understand. This is the true Sabbath. Not a day marked on a calendar, a state of unity with life. This makes us reflect. Was the Sabbath created for humanity, or was humanity created for the Sabbath? Because at its core, God's rest was not from fatigue, it was from fullness. And perhaps the greatest error of modern humanity is believing that productivity equals worth, that doing more means being more. But the Sabbath reminds us, you are already complete. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stop. And in that stopping, you remember who you are before all masks, before all struggles, before all stories. Now ask yourself, what if the true Sabbath is not a religious tradition, but a cosmic rhythm, a heartbeat of the universe that we can still hear if we are willing to be silent? Because just as the body needs sleep to regenerate, the soul needs silence to remember, and the Sabbath is not a day to sleep, it is a day to awaken. Like a flame that never dies, even in the darkness of the unconscious, this rhythm remains. In every pause, In every deep breath, in every moment you choose presence over future. And every time you enter this state, you are not just resting, you are sanctifying. You are saying, as God did, this is good. And in that simple act, you align with creation. The seeker's journey is like an ancient scroll slowly unrolling, revealing symbols that feel familiar, like memories from other lives. Each revelation is a candle lit in the temple of the mind, illuminating corners we never knew existed. And at the end of this path, we don't find answers. We find moments. Moments when time stops. Moments when silence speaks. Moments when, for an instant, everything is complete. Thank you for your curiosity and courage to walk these untrodden paths, for listening not just with your ears, but with your soul, for allowing yourself to be touched by ancient truths, forgotten memories, rhythms the modern world has tried to erase. Are you ready to take the next step? Remember, every ending is just the beginning of a new journey of awareness. But let us include a voice that bridges science and spirit. Carl Gustav Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist who dedicated his life to the study of the unconscious, said something that echoes deeply with the Sabbath. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And what if the Sabbath is exactly this? A moment when the unconscious becomes conscious. A day when, by stopping action, you finally hear what has always been speaking within you. Jung believed that modern man is sick because he lives only in rational consciousness, ignoring the collective unconscious, the field of memories, archetypes, and spiritual truths that connect all souls. And he saw religious rituals not as dogmas, but as technologies of integration. The Sabbath, then, would be one of them, a weekly reconnection with the whole. Jung also spoke of the process of individuation, the journey to become who you truly are beyond social personality. And this process requires pause, withdrawal, silence. Just as the alchemist retreated to the laboratory, the seeker needs an inner Sabbath to transform the lead of pain into the gold of wisdom. And it is in this state of non-doing that dreams, synchronicities, and intuitions emerge, not through effort, but through surrender. He wrote, "The meeting with the other is a meeting with the shadow. The meeting with oneself is a meeting with the divine." And perhaps the Sabbath is exactly this meeting, a day when you are not busy with the world, and so, for the first time, you can meet yourself. Without masks, without roles, without identity, just presence. And in this meeting, you do not find a distant God, you find the divine spark that has always been within you. Visualize yourself now in an ancient temple, in the silence of twilight. You enter without haste, close your eyes, breathe, and then a phrase arises in your mind. This is good. It's not your voice. It feels as if it comes from both within and outside at once. And you understand it's not you telling the world it's okay, it's the universe telling you. And in that moment, you are in the Sabbath, not in time, in the eternal, not in doing, in being. This makes us reflect, what if the Sabbath is not a commandment but a reminder that you don't need to achieve peace. It's already here, you just need to stop running, just need to light a candle, just need to say, I am here. Because true rest is not the absence of movement, it is full presence. It is when you stop being a character in the story and become the observer. And in that silent gaze, everything calms down. Like a flame that never dies, even in the darkness of the unconscious, this moment remains. In every pause, in every conscious breath, in every choice of presence over agitation. And every time you enter this state, you are not just resting, you are sanctifying. You are saying, as God did, this is good. And in that simple act, you align with creation. The seeker's journey is like an ancient scroll slowly unrolling, revealing symbols that feel familiar, like memories from other lives. Each revelation is a candle lit in the temple of the mind, illuminating corners we never knew existed. And at the end of this path, we don't find answers, we find moments, moments when time stops, moments when silence speaks, moments when, for an instant, everything is complete. Thank you for your curiosity and courage to walk these untrodden paths, for listening not just with your ears, but with your soul, for allowing yourself to be touched by ancient truths, forgotten memories, rhythms the modern world has tried to erase. Are you ready to take the next step? Remember, every ending is just the beginning of a new journey of awareness.